1. The ferry left Mara on the dock with a single suitcase and a letter she hadn't yet opened. 2. The island had no name on any map she owned. The locals called it Veth, which meant, depending on who translated it, either shelter or forgotten. 3. The lighthouse stood at the island's northern tip, white as a cracked tooth against the grey November sky. 4. Her uncle had left her the lighthouse in his will. He had also, according to the letter, left her a warning. 5. She read the warning on the dock in the cold. Do not go up to the lamp room after midnight. Whatever you hear, do not go up. 6. The cottage attached to the base of the lighthouse smelled of pipe tobacco and something older, cedar, or perhaps just rot. 7. A logbook sat open on the kitchen table. The last entry was dated 3 weeks ago. The handwriting was not her uncle's. 8. Saw it again tonight. The entry read, it stands at the water's edge and it has learned to look like him. 9. Mara told herself she didn't believe in such things. She put the kettle on. She locked the door. 10. That first night, she heard footsteps on the stairs leading up to the lamp room. She counted them. There were 13. The staircase only had 12 steps. 11. Morning arrived gray and unconvinced. Mara climbed the lighthouse in daylight, counting each step deliberately. 12. Exactly 12. 12. The lamp room was undisturbed. Thick glass, a cold brass mechanism, and a view of the sea that made her feel very small. 13. In the corner, behind the great lens, she found a child's shoe. It was dry. It had no partner. 14. The harbor master was a woman named Doll, who had the kind of face that had forgotten how to be surprised. She said Mara's uncle had been well liked. She said this carefully. 15. Were there children on the island? Mara asked. Doll set down her coffee. There was one, she said. A long time ago. 16. She would not say more, but she glanced, just once, toward the northern tip of the island. 17. The logbook had 14 entries by a hand Mara didn't recognize. She read them all that afternoon, seated close to the fire. 18. The entries described something at the water's edge. Something patient. Something that watched the lighthouse the way a reader watches a last page. 19. In the 8th entry, it has my wife's voice now. I will not go to the window again. 20. In the 14th, I think it knows I've been writing this down. The pen keeps going cold. 21. Mara found a second logbook behind a loose stone in the cottage wall. This one was her uncle's. 22. His handwriting she knew. Cramped, leftward slanting. The letters of a man who thought faster than he wrote. 23. The first half of the logbook was mundane. Weather readings, supply orders, notes on the mechanism's maintenance. 24. Then, on a page marked only with a black thumbprint, the entries changed. 25. Something has taken up residence on the rocks below the north window. I have stopped looking at it directly. 26. It appears to feed on recognition. The moment you understand what it resembles, it becomes more convincing. 27. She turned the page. A sketch, a figure at the waterline, blurred at the edges, as though her uncle's hand had refused to commit to its outline. 28. Beneath the sketch, 4 words. It looked like father. 29. Mara's father had died when she was 9. He had drowned not far, she now realized, from this island. 30. She closed the logbook. Outside, the fog had come in from the west and was consuming the island one stone at a time. 31. She slept badly and dreamed of water. Still, black water with something moving just beneath the surface. Too large and too slow. 32. At 3 in the morning she woke to the sound of her name, spoken in her father's voice, from the direction of the sea. 33. She did not go to the window. She gripped the edge of the mattress and breathed until the voice stopped. 34. It took 40 minutes. 35. In the morning she walked the perimeter of the island. It took 2 hours. The northern rocks were black and wet and covered in something that might have been kelp, or might not have been. 36. She found marks in the soft ground above the tidal line, not footprints exactly, but impressions, as though something heavy had rested there and then reconsidered. 37. She photographed them. Later, looking at the photos on her phone, she found the images blurred, as though the camera had refused to focus. 38. She called her sister on the mainland. The line was clear but her sister kept saying, "You sound strange. You sound far away." Mara was far away. That wasn't what her sister meant. 39. That afternoon she found a name in the margin of the second logbook, so lightly penciled she nearly missed it. Lena Veth. 40. Not the island's name, a person's name. The island was named for her, or she for it. Mara didn't yet know which was worse. 41. Doll knew the name. Of course she did. Everyone on Veth knew the name. They simply didn't use it. 42. Lena Veth had been a child who drowned off the North Rock 60 years ago. A fisherman's daughter. 7 years old. 43. They never found the body. This was the part Doll said quietly. 44. My uncle, Did he know about her? Mara asked. Doll folded her hands on the counter. Your uncle was the one who found her shoe. 45. The shoe in the lamp room. Dry. Waiting. 46. He kept it up there, Doll said, because he thought it kept her close. He thought if she had something to come back to, she'd stay near the light. Doll paused. I think he was right. In a way. 47. You think the thing on the rocks is Lena? Mara said. It came out less like a question than she intended. 48. Doll shook her head slowly. I think the thing on the rocks found Lena a long time ago and has been wearing her ever since. Like a coat. 49. Mara walked back to the lighthouse in the last of the afternoon light. The shadows on the north side of the tower were wrong. Too long. Angled toward the sun rather than away. 50. She noticed this and kept walking. She was getting better at noticing things and choosing not to stop. 51. She read everything twice. Both logbooks, cover to cover. Every margin note and smeared erasure. 52. Her uncle had spent 3 years on the island before he died. His death had been ruled a fall. He had fallen from the lamp room gallery in the middle of the night. 53. The door to the gallery had been locked from the inside. 54. Mara stood in the lamp room and looked at the gallery door. Old wood. Old lock. She turned the key and opened it and stepped out into the cold. 55. The gallery circled the top of the lighthouse. The railing was iron. Old but solid. She gripped it and looked down at the north rocks. 56. Something was there. She saw it clearly for only a moment before it moved. Or rather, before it seemed to decide not to be seen. 57. But in that moment it had the height and posture of a man. It had, she thought, it had her uncle's shoulders. 58. She went back inside and locked the gallery door. Her hands were steady. She was surprised by this. 59. The logbook said, it cannot come into the light. The mechanism is our protection. Do not let the light fail. 60. She checked the mechanism, the timer, the fuel, the backup. Everything was working. Everything was fine. She did not feel fine. 61. On the 9th night a storm came in from the northeast. The kind that hits a small island like a personal grievance. 62. The power went out at 10:30. The lighthouse mechanism switched to its battery backup without hesitation. She had checked it. She trusted it. 63. At midnight the backup failed. The lamp room went dark. 64. She had a manual override. Her uncle had written the procedure in the logbooks inside cover, in large clear letters, as though he'd known she'd need them in the dark. 65. She climbed the stairs by touch, counting 1, 2, 3. She did not let herself count 13. 66. The manual crank was stiff but it turned. She got the light moving, slow at first, then gathering its old rhythm, the great beam sweeping out over the black water. 67. In the first sweep of the light she saw the rocks below. Nothing there. 68. In the second sweep she saw the figure. Close now, at the base of the lighthouse. Not the rocks. It had come closer while the light was out. 69. In the third sweep it was gone. Just rock and water and the storm. 70. She cranked the light until dawn. Her arms ached for 3 days afterward. She considered this acceptable. 71. She found the source of the backup failure. A wire. Cleanly cut, not corroded. Cut. 72. She had been alone in the lighthouse. The doors had been locked. 73. Except there was a third door. A low hatch at the base of the tower. Rusted shut. Or so she'd assumed. She examined it now. The rust was theatrical. The hinges moved freely. 74. The hatch opened onto a ledge just above the waterline. The ledge was wet. There were those impressions again. The same shapeless weight as on the north shore. 75. It had been inside. It had been inside and it had cut the wire and then it had gone back out to watch. 76. She called the mainland. Not her sister this time. A number her uncle had written in the logbook's last page. Below the words, if things go wrong. 77. A man answered. He asked her 3 questions. What she had seen. Whether she had kept the light running. Whether the shoe was still in the lamp room. She answered yes to all 3. 78. Don't remove the shoe, he said. And don't go to the North Rocks at night. Whatever it offers you. She asked him what it might offer. A long pause. Whoever you've lost, he said. It always knows. 79. He would come to the island in 2 days. She had to keep the light burning for 2 days. 80. She repaired the wire. She welded the hatch shut with a kit she found in the cottage's lower cupboard, placed there, she was certain, by her uncle's deliberate and frightened hands. 81. The first of the 2 nights passed quietly, almost aggressively quietly. She didn't trust the silence but she used it. She slept in 4-hour shifts, setting an alarm to check the light. 82. The second night it came back. She heard it on the gallery, not the stairs. The gallery. moving around the outside of the lamp room. 83. She did not understand how it had reached the gallery. The tower was smooth stone. She looked at the railing and tried not to think about what could climb it. 84. It knocked on the lamp room glass. She had not expected knocking. There was something almost polite about it that was worse than any sound she'd heard. 85. She kept her eyes on the mechanism. She kept the light turning. 86. Then it spoke. Her uncle's voice, low and apologetic. Mara, I'm sorry I didn't explain better. I'm sorry about the letter. Let me in and I'll explain everything. 87. Her uncle had died in this lighthouse. She knew his voice. The timbre was right. The cadence was right. The slight swallow before sorry was right. It was perfect. 88. Which was how she knew. Her uncle had never called her Mara. In 30 years he had called her nothing but Sparrow. 89. You're not him, she said aloud. She kept her eyes on the mechanism. 90. The knocking stopped. A long silence. Then, in a voice that was not her uncle's and not anything she had a name for, no, but I have been him for long enough that I remember missing you. 91. Dawn came as dawns do, without asking permission, spreading gray and gold across the water. 92. The man from the phone arrived on the morning ferry. He was older than she expected, with the careful eyes of someone who has stopped being surprised but hasn't stopped being cautious. 93. His name was Aldrich. He had been coming to Beth, he said. For 20 years. He had known her uncle. 94. He examined the hatch, the logbooks, the cut wire, the shoe. He did all of this without speaking. Then he climbed to the lamp room and stood in front of the great lens for a long time. 95. It's weakening, he said finally. They weaken when they're refused. Last night was its strongest play. He turned to look at her. You didn't open the door. 96. It didn't sound like him, she said. He nodded as though this was the right answer and also the saddest one. 97. Together they performed a ritual she would never describe to anyone, using salt water, the lamp's heat, and words from a text Aldrich carried in his jacket pocket. It took an hour. It was quiet and methodical and almost domestic. 98. Afterward, from the gallery, they watched the North Rocks. Nothing moved. The impressions in the soft ground by the shore, she had checked before he arrived, were gone, filled by the night's rain. 99. She left Beth the following morning. She took both logbooks. She left the shoe in the lamp room, where her uncle had placed it, because she found she couldn't take it from its post. Some small things,